All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the. Shut up, Keith. We're live. Welcome to the sixth episode of the Clinch. We're breaking down UFC 203 and doing a preview of the next fight night card. We got Keith Robert on the show as always. Returning is Jay Martin to go toe to toe with Keith, and I think he's going to throw out some words for CM Punk, but we'll see. All right, I want to thank Dave for being on the last two shows. Dave did an excellent job. I'm sure we'll have you on again. And I want to hop right into the speed bag rounds. We're going to hop right into the early prelim. What's that?
We got to do it fast because Jay's got to go back to work. I
got like an hour.
He gets an hour break. He works for the headquarters of the Black Lives Matter movement. He'll get back in there.
How do you get back to Central Falls fast?
Keith, we would have been halfway through the first fight if you didn't throw that in there. Come on, man. All right, so anyway, first fight that happened on the card was Sean Spencer versus Yancy Medeiros. And Medeiros picked up the win. Quick thoughts on that fight? Keith?
Go ahead, Jay. I'm eating cookies. Go ahead, Jay.
Want me to go?
It's got him out.
Yeah, I thought it was an alright fight. Actually, to be honest with you, I didn't see the fight. I didn't have a fight pass. I didn't get back in time from what I heard about it. It was a good fight. I think Keith probably would be able to talk about it more than I could.
I thought it was a fantastic fight. It was a fight between two prospects that, let me rewind that. Two failed prospects, two guys that had a lot of hype coming to the UFC. Both, I think, have really disappointed. Sean Spencer at one point was getting compared to John Jones. They were calling the next John Jones to get long arms and legs. He has other features that are similar to John Jones. And Yancy Medeiros is supposed to be like the next Diaz brothers. He was trained by the Diaz, and he's got that thug attitude. The first half of the round, was kind of feeling out, but once they started getting into exchanging in the second half of the round, it was really good. And then Yancy Medeiros finished the fight off in the second round, beginning of the second with a high kick, jumped into a guillotine, similar to Overeem, where he had him rocked and then jumped right into a guillotine. And going up to welterweight, I'm hoping that not cutting weight will resurrect his career, kind of like Cerrone and Poirier and those guys who moved up in weight.
All right, from that we move on to Drew Dober versus Jason Gonzalez. Dober picked himself up a win here. Jay, were you able to catch this one? This one was on.
Yeah, those I did see. The prelims on Fox Sports 1 I did see. That was a good fight. That was probably the best finish of the night, besides the Miocic finish. Dober's looks like a legit guy. Gonzalez was a newcomer. I think he took the fight on short notice, but it was still a spectacular finish. Dober's the type of guy that at times he looks like a complete fighter. He can wrestle. He can strike. He looks the part. But I know Gonzalez, like I said, is like a newcomer, so I don't know how much stock you can put in the win, but overall it was a exciting finish on a card that was kind of lukewarm. So to open the night up with that fight and that finish, it was impressive. I like Dober. I think he's got a future at lightweight. But again, like I said, Gonzalez, it's not much of a litmus test, but I mean, for him to finish it the way he did was impressive.
Yeah, there's not really much to analyze. It was only about a minute long. Combination. Like I said, like the night started off great with the Yancy Medeiros submission, high kick submission, and then the Drew Dober just absolute destruction. It looked like it was going to. The card started off phenomenal, then it fell off the cliff after that.
Right after that, we had Nick Lentz, nicknamed the Carney, versus Michael McBride, and he picked himself up a W for the Carney.
The Carney looked good against another guy who came in. I think he came in on 9 days' notice, Michael McBride. Not much of I've never seen McBride before. I've seen Lentz a bunch of times. Lentz is a very good pro, very solid guy. Um, Again, not much of a test since McBride came in on 9 days' notice, but Lentz did what he was supposed to do. I mean, at times McBride looked pretty good. In the first round, he had his moments, but you could just tell Lentz was was just going to take over at some point in the fight, use his wrestling, which he did, and he grinded it out. I think actually McBride missed weight too. Before that, it was a catch weight fight. I guess McBride was at 158, so he missed weight by like 3 pounds, but actually 2 pounds. But it was a decent fight. Lentz did what he was supposed to do against like a C fighter that took the fight on this, but decent fight, good win for Lentz, who's just basically like a gatekeeper type.
Nick Lentz, to me, he fought a wrestler, Nick Bride, and Nick Lentz is just a better wrestler, and he dominated those positions. Nick Lentz, to me, is like the lightweight version of Phil Davis. He's just a high pressure, good wrestler, and he uses it. He knows what he's good at. He gets to those positions. His top control is really, really solid, as he showed in this fight. He's a grinder. Nick Lentz, I mean, this was an easy fight for him. Just two completely different levels of MMA. To come in on short notice and make your UFC debut against Nick Lentz, that's a really tough situation to be in.
All right, from there we move on to Brad Tavares winning a decision over Chow Miguelis. One thing that jumped out at me on this fight, you guys can kind of elaborate on a little bit more. 1 for 7 on takedowns for Chow.
You want me to start off, Keith?
Yeah, good.
All right. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good.
I'd be thrilled about this fight.
It was a decent fight. Yeah, it was a decent fight. They're both big middleweights, Tavares and Magalhães. Both guys that are kind of like, I think this is what the best you'll see out of them. They're prelim guys. Once in a while Tavares will give an exciting fight. Magalhães is a big, strong, guy who can strike, but both of them at the end of the day are kind of like C plus, B minus guys. Tavares at times looks like he could be more, but I don't know. He just doesn't have that it factor about him. It was a solid fight. I didn't understand the split decision, to be honest with you. I thought Tavares clearly won 2 rounds, but it wasn't anything that I jumped out of my seat about. It was a whole hump fight between 2 average middleweights. I don't think either one has like a bright future besides what we saw Saturday night. They're prelim guys that were well matched, and I don't think you'll ever see them beat a top 10 guy or anything like that.
I'll be honest. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings in the first round. I got a phone call from work, and I got distracted. There was a scheduling issue, so I didn't really watch this fight that much. From what I did see, it just seemed like Magalhães was trying to get in the clinch, trying to get a takedown, and to me, from what I saw, it appeared that Brad Tavares just won the fight from the outside, jabs and kicks and stuff. Brad Tavares at one point was a ranked top 15 fighter in the weight class, and it wasn't that long ago. And to me, he's really fallen on hard times. He's lost a couple fights, and even this fight, to go to a split decision, against a guy like Magalhães, this was a guy that UFC was really trying to hold down, especially because of the Hispanic background. And I've not been impressed with him at all. He doesn't have a killer instinct. He pitter-patters. He doesn't go for a finish. When he beat Phil Baroni, who they brought in and gave him basically a free fight, that was probably the high of his career.
That's the sad part. If your height of your career is beating a washed-up Phil Baroni, you got problems.
All right, then the last fight on the prelims was Jessica Ai versus Besh Correa. It was a split decision win for Correa, and apparently now she wants Miesha Tate, but we'll see what happens with that. What do you guys think about the split decision? Spot on, or?
I watched the fight a second time because when I watched it right before I left to meet Keith at Buffalo Wild Wings, so I watched it kind of I was getting ready while I was watching it. I thought at first I kind of got screwed, especially at home. I thought she was going to get the decision. I watched it a second time. Correa won the fight. I thought Correa clearly won 2 rounds. Decent fight, average fight. Nothing, to write home about. Yeah, and Tate would actually be a good fight though. I think that they match up well, and for Tate it makes sense since coming off that loss, and Correa is still kind of a name because of the things the nonsense with Rousey, so that could get her back on the map. But as for this fight, I thought it was the right decision. I thought Correa won 2 rounds, and the crowd wasn't too happy about it because I's a local girl, but the judges got it right after the second time I watched the fight.
I don't think it was average. I think it was a snooze fest. I think a moment ago when Jay had his phone all over the place, we're looking at his sailing stuff. I would rather watch that than watch this fight again. I thought it was awful. I originally, when I watched it, I scored it 29-28 for I. When I watched it again, and nor will I ever watch that fight again. I had no issue with the 29-28 for Correa. To me, it came down to this. I thought I clearly won the first round. Correa clearly won the third round. It comes down to how you scored the second round. I think the significant strikes was like 26-24 in that round. So it could have went either way. Correa was the one coming forward. So I can see why she got the decision. To me, both women are on losing streaks. And to me, they both fought this fight to not lose. They both kind of stayed out of range. I mean, Jessica I was throwing out jabs that were missing Correa by a foot, and she kept doing it, just trying to look busy. I thought it was an awful performance for both. And Jessica I, if she was aggressive, this is a perfect matchup for her because she's a better striker than Correa, and she can stuff the takedowns. To me, this is a really easy fight with Jessica I, and she really blew it. In her hometown too. I mean, come on.
I agree. That's what I was surprised that she didn't fight better, especially considering that she was fighting at home. This was a fight for her, definitely to win and move up, but she screwed herself on this one for sure.
The only thing worse than the fight was Betch Correa's dancing afterwards.
How's she stack up?
So get a hard on for that.
Oh, she's beautiful.
All right, real quick. Antonio Brown dancing or Betch Correa dancing?
Oh God! Can I pick C? None of the above.
I'll take Antonio Brown. He helped my fantasy team. So.
Oh, you like that dance, huh?
He's been thinking about that for like 9 months now too.
Yeah, I thought he'd come up a little bit better than the rump shaker.
All right, we move into the main card. We had Jessica Andrade versus Joanne Calderwood in a fight that a lot of people thought would be better than it was. First round submission for Andrade is how it ended up.
I actually walked in right when this fight was happening, right probably like 30 seconds before the submission. I walked into Buffalo Wild Wings to meet Keith and a couple other guys, and I saw that I was able to see the finish. Impressive finish by Andre. Calderwood is a tough girl. I thought this fight would go at least 2 or 3 rounds. I thought it could go to decision, like a war type of fight, because Calderwood brings it. She's a good striker. Andrade's well-rounded, so I was kind of surprised that it ended in 1 round. I walked in and then I was seeing Calderwood stuck in the choke. I was like, wow, what the hell's going on? And Keith's like, yeah, she just basically tapped out just now. And I'm like, holy shit. It was a good finish, good win for Andrade. Like I said, I thought this was going to be one of the better fights on the card because I just thought it was going to be a war, but Andrade finished it quick. It's an impressive win for her.
Yeah, to me, I thought this was going to be. I thought it was a toss-up fight. I thought it was one of the hardest fights on the card to pick. Jessica Andrade she looks phenomenal at the new weight class. She looks like a completely different fighter. To me, this is like the equivalent of like a perfect game or something because she was flawless in this fight. She has so much power and she brings so much pressure in this weight class. And then she added in takedowns. That slam was the place in Buffalo Wild Wings went crazy with that huge slam. And then it didn't just stop there. She was busy in the guard. She passed guard really easy, nice ground and pound. And then when Calderwood flurried to get back on the feet, bam, she sunk in that guillotine choke. To me, right now, Jessica Andrade has got to be. She seems the biggest threat to Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Karolina Kowalkiewicz, the winner of that fight. I think she's got to be the next one in line. And
I agree.
She actually reminds me of Claudia Gadelha, but like a better version. Now, Gadelha has been fighting much higher competition, but this is the first time Jessica Andrade has faced, a top 10 strawweight, and she absolutely blitzed him. It was wow.
All right, moving on to the next fight on the card, we had Uriah Faber versus Jimmy Rivera. A huge fight for Rivera. He's finally going up against a big name in the UFC, and he went out there and performed. He picked up a unanimous decision, won all 3 rounds with all 3 judges, and picked himself up a nice win. What do you guys think of this fight?
I thought it was a very good win for Rivera. I think that Faber, while he's faded, and at this point just basically he's a gatekeeper, he's still a good scalp to have on your record, and Rivera needed that. Now Rivera can say he's beaten a name, which Faber still is, even though, like I said, he is faded. Rivera had a good game plan. He's a wrestler, but he can strike too, and he basically just outstruck Faber the whole fight. He was the first to get there. He would land first, land harder shots. Faber just seemed like he was okay with coasting up until the 3rd round. He got a little bit more. He kind of knew that he was down 2 rounds, so he worked a little bit more. But for most of the fight, Faber just didn't work enough for me, and he just couldn't get off. Where Rivera got off first in the first 2 rounds, and then that eye poke happened. I think that was the 3rd round. But other than that, Faber didn't do much at all, and I think Rivera deserved all 3 rounds, and it was an impressive win for him. I picked Rivera to win this fight. I think this was like his coming out party to beat Faber, and I think he's got a bright future. I actually thought going into the fight that he was undefeated. I didn't realize that he lost a fight early in his career. I know he hasn't lost in the UFC, and he's looked good in just about every fight, and this was a linchpin for him. And you're going to see, I think, him move up fast and get a big fight from this.
Yeah, Jimmy Rivera, he's 20-1 right now. He's won 19 in a row.
Yep.
Coming in, he fought Uriah Faber, who's still, Faber's past his prime, but he's still a competitive fight. He had moments against Dominic Cruz in the 1st round where he looked good. And Rivera beat Faber worse than Cruz did.
Yeah.
I thought he controlled every moment of the fight. He kept landing the left hook and overhand right over and over again. His leg kicks were, devastating. Faber hasn't been hit with leg kicks like that since Jose Aldo fight years ago. He looks really good. One thing I was a little frustrated, and I get this. This is your face. He was talking about afterwards, facing the guy he looked up to. Was it reminded me a lot of the Nick Hine fight from last week? As in, the whole time I kept saying, if he gets aggressive, he could finish that fight. He was landing on will. I really wish he went for the kill and tried to finish Uriah Faber. He's got all the tools. He's a really good striker in the pocket. I was really really impressed by his striking in the pocket, especially against Uriah Faber, crafty veteran. You gotta. That's another. To me, the bantamweight division is my favorite weight class right now. There's so many top prospects. You got Starbrand and Almeida and Sterling, Lineker and Dotson. Now you throw in Jimmy Rivera versus the winner of John Dotson and John Lineker. What a fight! That would be a fight. That's the fight I really hope, because and then the way I look at it is the winner of that fight would be next in line for a title fight. So I think it makes sense. Go Jimmy Rivera versus Dotson, Lineker winner.
That was my one gripe about the fight, that Rivera didn't go for a finish. I think he could have finished Faber at any point in that. Well, not any point in that fight, but especially like second round. If he stepped on the gas, I think Faber was ripe to get stopped. And that would have been a greater accomplishment to stop Faber because Faber doesn't get stopped much, and if I just think if he stepped on the gas a little bit more, I think he could have stopped the fight. He could have got a knockout or gone for a submission. Faber was he beat Faber pretty clearly, but that was my one gripe that he didn't go for the stop.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Jose Aldo versus Faber, and the Frankie Edgar versus Faber, where Faber was just outmatched. And at one point, to me, I felt like he was just looking to try to go to decision and try to make it somewhat like trying to gain moral victories. Mm-hmm. He looked absolutely like he knew he was over his head and he had nothing he could do. And that's what a top prospect should do to a fading star.
Yep. Make a statement.
A couple of things I want to throw out there about it. The leg kicks, Keith, you mentioned them. They came often. He was tearing them up with leg kicks, and he was controlling the center of the octagon pretty much the entire fight. The other thing, Faber was 0 for 4 on takedowns, and Jimmy Rivera still has not been taken down in the UFC.
That's incredible. Incredible.
Remember, this is Faber who slammed Dominic Cruz at UFC 199 in the opening round. Faber's still a good wrestler.
All right, after that, we're going to move on to the one of the hyped-up fights on the card. It ended just about how everyone expected. Mickey Gall winning by submission over CM Punk. There's not really much to break down, but I'm going to let you guys talk about it anyway.
I thought it was just.
Jay, you want to go first? I know how much you were looking into this. So you want?
Yeah, I'll go first. This thing was a joke. I won't even call him CM Punk. I'm gonna call him Phil Brooks because I'm a 38-year-old man. So I'm gonna call him Phil Brooks. Phil Brooks is an embarrassment to combat sports. Literally an embarrassment. For him to be on the pay-per-view portion of the card, it's in any other sport. You would never see this in boxing. You would never see this in kickboxing. Nothing. You're not gonna see a guy who's 0-0. That has no fight discipline.
Hold on.
Yeah, he's never trained in his life in any type of kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, anything, jiu-jitsu. He has zero training in any fight discipline. And for him to get a fight on a main card, it's a black eye to the sport. It's a circus act. It's something that you would see in Bellator. You shouldn't be seeing this in the UFC. I understand they were trying to get buys. He probably added. I'll be honest, to give him credit, he probably added 200,000 buys to this card. I heard this card got 600,000 buys. 200 of those. Was it 800? Wow, that high. 800. I heard it was between 6 and 700. So 800?
650 and 800.
If they did 800, he gave him 300,000 buys then, because I thought this card was going to get 400,000 to 500,000 tops. So you got to give him credit for that, but he's one of the worst fighters I've ever seen in my life. And when I was watching that show, The Evolution of Punk, the training footage was so embarrassing. I cringed. I could not believe a guy that was training for a year and a half couldn't throw a proper punch. He was throwing a 3-punch combination that my nephew throws. He's 11 years old, and you could see Phil Brooks thinking about it. Like he would have to think about 1-2-1, get my hand up against a 50-year-old striking coach. Duke Rufus's striking coach was schooling him in those videos. 50 years old. That I just said, I was surprised it went 2 minutes, to be honest with you. I think Gall could have finished it in 30 seconds if he wanted to. I think he just wanted to punish him. So it was just, like I said, just a black eye to the sport. When we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, there was a dozen guys that left after the fight. You don't want those type of fans watching. You really don't. I mean, there was literally 12 guys that left the place after that fight when you had a heavyweight championship fight coming on in about 45 minutes. So it just attracts the wrong crowd. I don't like it at all. I thought it was awful. And the payout, he got a $500,000 payout with pay-per-view bonuses on top of it. $500,000 to make a fool of himself. It was just awful. Awful fight.
Probably $800,000 or maybe even $1 million. What you added in the pay-per-view, the buy rates.
Yep, he's gonna make $1 million. This guy.
The pay-per-view buy rates, especially if they're as high as they're claiming. Mark Ramondi from MMAfighting.com is claiming anywhere between 650 buys to 800. That's the early number.
And like I said, he was easily responsible for 300,000 of those because you got the wrestling fans that are gonna put in. Then you got the ultra casuals ordering it just to see the spectacle of it. So I mean, whatever. Yeah. It just shows that a lot of this is about money. A guy like this does not deserve to be on a card like this. And Mickey Gall is an average guy. Can you imagine if he fought like a top 25 welterweight? He would have got like you would have really seen a depth in the ring if he fought a top 25 guy. And this is a good point too. I heard I was talking about my buddy about it. This is the closest you're ever going to see to an average guy getting into the ring with a pro fighter. If you average guys think that you can do anything against a pro fighter, watch this fight. Watch this fight.
That's right.
I mean, you're never gonna. A pro fighter who's 2-0 did this to this guy. And I hear idiots all the time saying, "Oh, I could beat up Golovkin. I could beat up Klitschko." Suck. Believe me. Watch this fight. This shows you right here what a pro does to just a normal average guy. They'll maul you.
Jay, remember when that guy was? Hey, remember that guy was claiming he could beat Mark Hunt?
Mark Hunt, yeah. Watch this fight. There's a guy that we were watching the pay-per-view. I said, "Oh, look, Mark Hunt. He's such a fat slob. I could beat him." Mark Hunt would knock your head into the third row. Yeah, 6 months.
6 months training.
Yeah, you could have 60 months to train, and they would kill you. He'd kill you. I mean, it's just Mark Hunt would knock your head into the third row. So this is actually a good reality check for normal guys. Watch this fight. You can't just fight a pro. It's not going to happen.
It's funny because Jay is saying all this bad stuff about CM Punk now, but he was saying it completely different at 11 o'clock on Saturday night. He was saying he was so excited. He was
Yeah, right.
sharpshooter.
Yeah, right.
He was like,
Sharpshooter.
I'm calling it now. He's going to win the title one
Yeah,
day.
right. Yeah.
I don't know why he changed his tone.
Brutal. Just an embarrassment.
People thinking CM Punk was going to be an elite fighter. It's like when people say Eli Manning's an elite quarterback.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Now you're comparing those two, huh? You're as delusional as the wrestling fans. You're as delusional as the wrestling fans. I actually heard wrestling fans, WWE fans, that actually said, "Well, CM Punk, he could win this fight. He could, give him he's been training for 2 years." I said, "Watch the video. Watch that stupid show, Evolution of Punk. If you can't tell this guy was getting beat up by like punching bags, guys that are in Rufus's gym who are basically D guys that are punching bags for like Anthony Pettis. He was getting schooled by those guys, and Mickey Gall is nothing special. Mickey Gall should slow his roll too because he got, he was getting chirpy at the end of the fight. I want to call this guy this. Mickey Gall's not that good. I mean, he's an average prospect, but an average prospect is going to look like that against a 37-year-old guy off the couch. And that's what they're going to look like. So, but Gall's a smart guy. He made a name off of Phil Brooks, and he only made $30,000, but that $30,000 he's going to catapult into if he fights Northcutt, that's going to be $75,000. If he beats Northcutt, that'll go to $150,000 for next year. So he's a smart guy. He called out the right guy, and he knew he was going to destroy him.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm going to say this. We probably spent too much time on this fight already.
Probably, yeah.
But
yeah.
That's what Jay wanted.
Jay had a lot to get out on this fight. He had a lot. He had
really
a lot of
wanted to talk
thoughts
about
on it that he had to just get out.
I had a vent.
Punk. I'm going to give CM Punk credit. Like, he has balls. He went in there. He fought in the UFC. So all these people who are making fun of him and dogging him, WF wrestlers and all this shit, the guy showed he had balls. I mean, Conor McGregor even said it. He said, "Hey, I give him credit. The rest of these other bitches in WWF doesn't want to go in." Now, I think Conor McGregor is setting himself up for a WWF deal when he decides to retire from MMA. But he gave him credit. But to me, this was like a baseball player in low A, like the guy who gets drafted in the 199th round of the draft, but facing a top MLB prospect, like a top AAA prospect pitcher. Well, what do you expect? He's going to be three pitches, strike him out, see you later. Mickey Gall, I'm actually going to disagree with Jay. I've been hearing a lot of good stuff. I mean, this guy's a really good brown belt, not just a low-level brown belt. He's a really good brown belt. He's been doing really good in competitions. He just recently went to American Top Team, and they're all raving about him, saying that this guy, he was going to make it to the UFC eventually anyways. And they really think this guy, he's got power in his hands, and he's got really top-notch jiu-jitsu. one thing you could say, CM Punk, he lasted longer than Mike Jackson did against Mickey Gall. He only lasted 45 seconds. So
I think Mickey Gall though did that on purpose though. He dragged out the fight to show, just to give him a little bit of a beat. He could have finished that fight in 30 seconds if he wanted to.
I absolutely agree with Jay on that one. I mean, you could tell that he had his openings that he just left there for a little while, so he could have pounded him in the head.
He wanted to drag that out for sure. And I got to disagree with Keith. I don't give Phil Brooks any credit. This was a money grab for him. At first, I heard he was only supposed to make $250,000, and it came out the other day that he's making $500,000. Now, this is a money grab, and he's going to stay in it, maybe. But according to Dana White, he's not going to be fighting in the UFC. He wants him to fight in a small organization to get his feet wet. But I just don't see anything in him that I think he's going to be a good fighter. He's 37 years old. He has no base. At least like a guy like Lesnar had a wrestling base. He was big. He was athletic. He had the intangibles. Phil Brooks has no intangibles, no fighting base. A 37-year-old guy just can't come off the street and become a professional fighter. I mean, he might have another fight or two and get destroyed and then say enough. The guy, did the same thing, Batista. And Batista almost got embarrassed by a 300-pound tub of lard who took the fight on 4 days' notice. There's just certain guys. This isn't a sport for triers. You don't try a combat sport. You don't try boxing. You don't try MMA. So I think this thing was a money grab. That's all it was.
I'm going to go off of what Jay said about Dana White saying he needs to go down to a lower. If he wants to keep fighting, you either embrace the freak show part of this or you don't. Because what do you expect him to go down to the lower level, fight for 2 years, and he's going to come back better at 39?
No, he's not.
He beaten up his body in WWF for years. What do you expect this guy? I mean, he has just embraced the freak show. Either say, yeah, get it for money. We did it. Like Stipe Miocic versus Fabricio Verdum. Their main event a couple of UFCs ago did 350,000 pay-per-view buys. Now they're reporting possibly 800 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Just see what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
You got 450,000 more pay-per-view buys by bringing this guy in. Now, I've been hearing that he had a multiple fight contract, that they might have to put him in, kind of like what the UFC did with Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt originally, when he brought in from Pride, yeah, fights, and they were forced to use him because they didn't want him because he was doing awful then. He looked like he was done with MMA, and then he actually made a nice little run. So, what do you do if you have to give this guy a fight? Like,
there's
you bring Mike Jackson back with 0-1. I mean, I think the best thing you can do with him. Seriously, the best thing you could do with him. I honestly spent time trying to think what you could do with him. The best thing you could do with him is him get on the mic and call WWF wrestlers a bunch of pussies and said, "I proved that I can do it. Why don't one of you guys come to WWF and fight me?"
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio or Mr. Perfect or Chris Jericho or
the Killer Bees.
What else can you do?
How about have a tag team match with the Killer Bees? Have a tag team match with the Killer Bees.
Well,
I mean, because the people who saw him fight, yeah, if he gained 400,000 pay-per-view buys, obviously he's not going to draw that again.
No, you won't even get half of that.
Maybe Shawn Michaels versus CM Punk would pull a huge rating.
A ladder match.
I don't know who he has beef with. The only other person I could think of would be CM Punk versus Edwin Tavernian.
Oh God.
He's scrapping it up. He's scrapping it up. Let them two guys go.
Jesus Christ. Well, they should just call out someone from the crowd. Like they should just say, okay, we're gonna enter everybody's name into a hat, and whoever we pull out of a hat has to fight Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, and they get $100,000. Something like that. It's just
it's like
a circus shit.
It's like at a hockey game. If you get the puck through the. If you can last 1 minute with Phil Brooks, you get $100,000. You get a car.
You get a car.
Just for the record,
what an embarrassment!
I fought MMA. I fought MMA in 2007. I'm 1-0 in MMA. I haven't.
Go fight. Go fight Brooks.
I'm out of retirement. This is on record. I am 100%. If UFC fight, I will fight CM Punk. All they have to do is pay off my house. So that's not even close to paying his ass.
The problem is, though,
at that point,
You're not making more than Mickey
Not only
Gall.
that, but I'll beat him too.
The problem is though, you're gonna have to fight at a catch weight. You're gonna have to fight at a catch weight of about 240.
I was
Yeah.
205.
209?
205. I was 211.
Oh, yeah.
Close on. I was 211 close on. But I had rocks in my pockets.
All right.
Keith versus Phil Brooks at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
So, anyways, before we move on, one thing I want to talk about Mickey Gall, because we've just been talking about CM Punk. Mickey Gall was, I mean, it was perfect. I actually said him on the last one. I said he's going to beat CM Punk, but he's going to call out Sage Northcutt. So I felt like I should get a little credit for that.
Yeah, you called that.
I think that's a great fight. I don't know if Sage Northcutt's going to take that fight because he's talking about going down to lightweight. The one thing I don't want them to do is rush Gall. Don't rush him. Don't have him fight like a Kevin Lee or someone like that that'll kill him. Don't rush this guy. He wasn't supposed to be in the UFC yet. Don't ruin him because the one benefit of this fight is that now you do have somewhat of a star in Gall. The idea I was thinking of that they could actually, here's another angle that they could really use CM Punk is, I don't play video games. I know Justin does. I'm assuming in the video game, when you make a character in the video game, you kind of work your way up fighting people. Like
right.
If you make yourself a welterweight and you create a person, then you eventually fight Robbie Lawler and Tyron Woodley. But like, I'm sure you have to start with lower guys. Boom, right. CM Punk could be the first guy. You create your fighter, you fight CM Punk in the video game.
He's the new Glass Joe. He's the new Glass Joe.
There you go. What I think they did with him, I think they milk him for whatever's left of his worth. Throw him on some fight pass cards, try to get their fight pass buys that way, and basically milk him until his multi-fight contract is done. And then I think he's gone.
That's a good point. I think he, a guy I know said he has a 3-fight contract. He signed for 3 fights. So he's got 2 more left. So good luck with that, Dana.
Both bushwhackers.
Yeah, good luck with that, Dana.
Both bushwhackers, back to back.
The bushwhackers.
When I was